good. Personal pleasure. I overlooked that one. Welcome to the You Guys podcast. I'm Rob, that's Liam, and this week we watched The Phantom from 1996, a film that asked, what if superheroes wore satin and punched pirates in the face? Billy Zane dons the purple onesie with full sincerity, swinging through the jungle like it's 1938 and chewing scenery like it's his last meal. It bombed at the box office and the planned trilogy vanished faster than the Singh Brotherhood henchmen. But somehow this pulpy gem clawed its way into cult status thanks to its nostalgic tone, period setting, and unapologetic love letter to old school adventure serials. And then there's Treat Williams, who shows up like he's auditioning for villain karaoke night. Absolutely is having the time of his life. He's cackling, monologuing, and tossing out lines like confetti at a pulp parade. Honestly, though, it's very lucky that they were in a room with a giant map on the wall. Otherwise, those mystical skulls would have had no idea where to shoot their laser beam.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. Yeah. There's no map. What the fuck are they pointing at? Just something. Vaguely at the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Kneecap, whatever it's called.
Where was the instruction manual? When you put the two skulls together, make sure you're next to a giant map.
And even then, after they did the whole map thing, Treat Williams went into his drawer, pulled out a very convenient map of that exact location, and then apparently looked at it for the next 2 hours. They tried to figure out what's going on. I was like, come on, Treat. You're supposed to be like, they're clearly going for, he's supposed to be like an evil Howard Hughes. That's obviously what they're going for. Yeah. And he's fantastic at it, but he's also a buffoon. And that's one of my only issue with this character is, was there something Drax, isn't it?
Xander Drax. Begins and ends with X.
Of course. He's a fantastic name for a fantastic character, but he does veer into buffoonery a little bit too much. Sadly, at the end in particular, which I don't want to jump to straight away, but it's a shame because, I mean, we didn't even really mention the intro. This is supposed to be the first part of our kind of planned quadrilogy.
Apologies. Welcome to the You Guys podcast. This is the first of our plan for terrible 90s superhero movies.
It wasn't terrible. I think we picked, the title was Slightly Dodgy 90s Superhero Movies. Now, we picked that, I think, because you could go and pick like Fantastic Four, the 90s version, and we know that's rubbish and we don't want to revisit that. These, however, are a bunch of films which were, I think, all failed at the box office, all four that we ultimately have chosen, but all have something at least to cling on to. Now, this movie in particular, I hadn't seen since like 1997. I remembered not liking it at the time, but that was about all I could remember. I was like, Catherine Zeta-Jones in it and stuff like that. And then I started watching it literally today, funny enough. And the opening sequence, I was like, wait, are they really on the nose? Is this genius or terrible? Because it looks slightly dodgy, but it's so incredibly ahead of its time in so much that it does the whole character introduction, the whole what would you call it, origin story in literally 3 minutes. They even bring up a line previously on The Phantom. It's just like, we're going to explain this in 3 minutes and we're going to get straight to the movie. And you're just like, why do all superhero movies do this?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need origins. So sorry, I will say, I know I said terrible. Terrible coming from the zeitgeist, as it were, because I love this film. I think this film is great. I've always liked I say always liked. I watched it in 1996, had a better time with it than you did. So I've watched it a few other times. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen it. But as I said in my intro, the fact there's just a love letter to those 1930s, those serials. And I mean, it's a dude meant to be in Africa, but I think this is Thailand.
It is Thailand, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
But I can live with that, but it should, again, no CG, it's shot on location. Yes, the location isn't the actual location, but they're in a real place, and it looks brilliant for it.
It's a dude who is not dressed for the jungle. The Phantom is never dressed for the jungle.
He's not dressed for any, like, make no mistake.
Purple.
There's no... Like, he's never dressed for the situation ever. And that is there's like a bunch of, I was trying to figure out why this didn't do well ultimately, because rewatching it, like once you got past the kind of extremely pulpy introduction, I was like, oh, well, this is like a little bit overboard, but I like what they're going for. As soon as they got to the jungle, I was like, oh no, this is a legit movie. This is like, the cinematography solid. It's clearly been shot with skill by Simon Wince. And you can see the money on screen, and straight away the stunts, which are slightly ill-conceived but well executed, if that makes sense. And I was like, oh no, this is a much better movie than I remember, like straight from the off. But the suit is a problem. Like unless you're Prince, you're just not pulling off purple. And if Billy Zane can't quite pull this off, and he comes close because my God, Billy Zane in 1996 is a handsome motherfucker. He looks like an old school movie star. When he takes his top off for the obligatory, I'm just going to be topless for a scene. He is goddamn shredded.
You know why they had to do that?
Why is that?
So why they had to take his top off? I'm guessing
Mhm.
because they made a muscle suit for him. But then when he came to set and he said, "Oh, I've been working out a year for this," they were like, "Okay, we'll remove the muscle." So they're gonna have to go. We got to prove that this is Billy Zane. We've got to just like I don't know, give him 5 minutes with his top off because this dude, as you said, is shredded.
And it's a shame because he's got one of those old-fashioned suits, the same that Christopher Reeve had in the original Superman movies, where it does them no favors, that kind of stuff. Like, he's absolutely shredded, and you can hardly see it when he wears the suit. The same with, if you look at Superman, like the original Superman movies, Christopher Reeve looks so much slimmer than, say, Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. And I'm not saying he was quite as big as Henry Cavill was, but when you see him training for Superman, he was really big and in really great shape. But that suit just stole all the definition away. And the purple suit kind of does the same in this because, I mean, God bless him, he got his topless shot. So, we all know he looked absolutely fantastic. But yeah, even he can't quite pull up that purple suit. But like I said, I mean, I was watching it and the first thing I thought was like, he looks like a young Marlon Brando. It's unbelievable.
That's right. Which is funny because he's Brando now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing Marlon Brando this year, isn't he?
Yeah. The other thing as well about the suit, and it always said like that's the thing you get from these 90s films and the early 2000s films, Daredevil and stuff like that. The suit is always pain for the actor.
Yeah.
They've got to be squeezed into it, things like that. One of the biggest sacrifices that Billy Zane had to make was he couldn't fit in the mask with his hair, so he had to shave his head. So
it was fun because he was bald soon after. He wasn't
bald. I don't think he grew his hair back, bless him, after.
Yeah.
But so everything was shot in reverse. So all the scenes without hair, all the scenes with him out of the mask were shot first. Then he shaved his head, and then they did all the in suit or in mask.
Because it's really tight on his head. Yeah.
So there's a scene at the end, and I know I'm jumping right to the end.
I know exactly what you mean, though.
When Christy Swanson turns around and says, "Take your mask off, Kit. I know it's you." So that's done. So the part where he's taking his mask off and he's talking to her, that was filmed at the beginning of production. And then the part beforehand, like right beforehand, just before it filmed at the end of production. It's weird that continuity errors if they fuck something up.
It's odd because you mentioned that. All I was thinking is they did the classic Batman versus Superman thing, where he takes off his mask and you're like, but wait a minute, he's actually covered in eyeliner. Yeah. It's the same with Batman. Batman's got the mask, but underneath it, all around his eyes, is all painted black. But when Superman, in fairness, it is a dream sequence in Batman vs Superman. When Superman comes over and rips his mask off, all of a sudden the eyeliner is gone, and it's the same in the Phantom. He takes the mask off, and I was like, where'd all the eyeliner go? The only one that actually deals with it properly is arguably the Batman with Patterson, where he takes the mask off and you can still see the eyeliner underneath. They purposefully leave it on. But yeah, I mean, the purple suit's a thing. My other big issue is I think it's just a timing thing. There were a lot of period superhero movies which came out in the 90s, and nearly all of them failed. So it was this, The Shadow, The Rocketeer, and basically to blame for all this is Batman. So Batman comes out in 89. It's one of the biggest hits ever, and obviously Batman Returns comes out in 92. And you've got all these executives looking at Batman and going, oh, because it had that weird timeless element. Like everyone's wearing not top hats, but everyone's wearing fedoras and stuff. Yeah. It's like 50s retro futuristic. And they have all seen that and gone, well, that's what the fans must love. No. Everyone just loves Batman and the fact that it's quite dark. But they took the retro aspect. Oh, we should kind of commit to the serials and all that jazz. And that's what they did, and nobody wanted to see those. And it's the same. Like when this came out in 1996, I mean, I was 14, perfect age for a comic book movie. I didn't know shit about the Phantom. I'd heard of the Phantom. Nobody our age, really the demographic who they're going for, nobody was clamoring for the Phantom in 1996. Everybody wanted Batman. Everybody wanted Spider-Man. I don't know anyone who was reading 1936's the fucking serials of the Phantom, and that was one of the major problems. And sorry, the last thing I wanted to add was that I think everyone going into this, and I'm including myself in that when I watch sorry, I'll learn to speak now. When I watched it in 1996, is that I was expecting basically another Batman movie. Oh, it's going to be like Batman. It's a superhero film.
Yeah.
And as soon as you turn it on, you're like, nope, it's Indiana Jones with a guy in a suit. That's what it is.
So I knew about the Phantom before the film came out. Okay, not from the comics. Like I didn't read the newspaper or whatever that was.
2040.
No, it wasn't I
The
remember
animated show.
Yeah, the animation
Yeah.
show, the Phantom 2040. I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. But no, for me, when I first, and I remember this vividly, when I first watched the Phantom film, I wondered when they were going to introduce Flash Gordon and Mandrake the Magician.
Oh yeah, because that was Mandrake the Magician is by the same writer, isn't it? By Falk as well.
Because they did Defenders of the Earth. We
Yeah,
had
of course.
we had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Saturday morning cartoon called Defenders of the was it Defenders of the Earth? Yeah,
Yeah, it
Defenders
was,
of the Earth, and it was like Flash Gordon, the Phantom Mandrake, and then they had kids. I always remember the Phantom's introduction then, where it was like, "Give me the strength of 10 lions or 10 tigers or something," and
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
the 10 tigers run through. And I just remember the intro as well, Defenders of the Earth. Like I fucking love that.
Yeah,
intro.
I do remember that, but I like it never had quite the same pull to our generation as
Oh no,
like, the DC and Marvel counters.
so I knew about that.
Yeah,
That's
no, I was
all
the
I
same.
knew about the Phantom. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy. Like it had quite. I for some reason I must have just picked up on the 1920s, 1930s era of superheroes because I fell in love with the Rocketeer in '91.
Yeah, I remember you
loved
saying,
that
yeah.
aesthetic. I thought it was great. Uh, maybe not so much the Shadow. I
Well,
remember
the
that being a
thing
bit of an
is,
issue,
right,
but
I'm gonna have to start trusting on these things because it was just one of those. Again, I think it was an expectation thing watching these films, but one of your choices many podcasts ago was The Rocketeer, and I didn't have the fondest memories of it, but I went back and watched it and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I would actually say this kind of fits into the same category. I was like, oh, the Phantom, this could be interesting. We were almost picking these as a bit of a joke, but we always knew there'd be at least something that we would enjoy about these films. We weren't planning on completely trashing them. Part of the fun is literally going back and like, oh, I wonder how these have held up. And based on a first draft, I mean, the Phantoms held up largely fantastically. I was so pleasantly surprised for about an hour and 10 minutes. The film drops off a cliff at the end.
Yeah.
And it's similar, funny enough, to The Rocketeer, which is really good for like an hour and 10 and then shits the bed in the final act. This is almost exactly this. My review for The Rocketeer could almost be my exact review for The Phantom. It's a really good film, much better than I remembered for an hour and 10. And then the last 20 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, this is what I imagined in my head. Just clumsy stunts, just overwrought kind of exposition. And I was just like a really clumsy denouement, whatever you want to call it.
A bunch of dudes, the Sang Brotherhood as well, felt like they were, and we won't go too much into it, but they felt like
the sky.
Yeah, and they felt like they all of a sudden they're on a Goonie set. So
yeah, totally.
That is absolutely the same.
But what I wanted an Errol Flynn movie, bizarrely, for the last 10 minutes.
What I wanted to mention, I did note something here. I said I love movie logic. She hasn't seen Kit Walker in years, and he's just now in her uncle's office after she's just been rescued by a handsome stranger who is about the same build. And maybe she did put two and two together because she knew it was Kit at the end.
Well, when he put his hands on his hip, she was suddenly like, wait a minute.
And you've got, of all the things for Jimmy to remember as well, the guy that was like a pointless. So do you know why they introduced him?
I'm so glad you said. I'm so glad. What the fuck was Jimmy in this film?
So he's pointless. And for some reason, I think maybe one of the first kind of Easter eggs. The reason why they put him in this film is because Jimmy was written out of the comics, the original comics. But originally, you didn't know who the Phantom was. So the Phantom was a dark, mysterious figure, and they were going to write that it was going to be Jimmy the playboy, like Bruce fucking Wayne, basically, the playboy.
Yeah.
But then they decided, no, we'll go down this whole generational thing with Kit Walker and all this. So literally, Jimmy got written out, just nonchalantly, bye-bye, not you anymore. So I think that's why he's in there as the Easter egg. And as I was doing investigation for this film, I thought the uncle owned the newspaper. It turns out, no, Jimmy's family owns the newspaper. So that's why he can just do anything he wants. I didn't know that at all.
No.
For him to remember 12, like when he was 12, about some random skull in a museum is the ridiculous like a reason to go to the MacGuffin I've ever seen. Oh yes, I remember that skull.
It was a combination of a terrible explanation from MacGuffin slash a justification for his existence in this movie.
Yeah.
It was a bad scene.
And the other thing from my investigation that wasn't hinted at all.
Mhm.
Do you know the random jungle patrol that are just full of Englishmen?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that's the Phantom's army. But the only one who knows it's the Phantom's army is the leader.
Is Captain Chris,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck his
So
name is.
all the other guys are meant to be like, okay, we're just some
Captain
sort of
Phillip, sorry, Captain Phillip.
So we're just some sort of jungle patrol, and we're being run by Queen and Country or whatever it is. But no. They all do what the Phantom wants them to do.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm all for the ultra fast exposition at the start and the straight to the races, but then it can't quite decide. And you can see the fact that this film was chopped and changed. Like this film was initially going to be directed by Joe Dante. It was going to have a much funnier script. I think he gets a writing credit for this film still. And they've gone back. They've made it a slightly more serious tone, but you can see little hints every so often to the slightly goofier movie, especially towards the end. That was maybe on the page originally.
From a massive fan of The Rocketeer, I'd love to see a Joe Dante Phantom.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. Not that I think, again,
although Simon Winter didn't do bad, but also
yeah.
Joe Dante did give us the TV version of Captain. No, did he give us the TV version of Captain America? No, he gave us Chris Evans as Captain America, didn't he?
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, was the fine. First Avenger.
The first one was fine, but you get all that other stuff like. Bengala isn't really well explained. It's like what he's just kind of, he just sits there in his chair waiting for something to happen in Bengala, and you're just like, I bet you most of the time jack shit happens in Bengala, but fine. There's the whole reference to the Skull Cave. I was like, how important is this Skull Cave? He's got his little minion buddy who's his own little kind of Asian Q or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be. As you say, I had no idea what was going on with Captain Phillip and the little army, but thank you for explaining that. And even the film itself, it's kind of like, all right, we're not going to explain the whole lineage thing. So it's like, oh, is he immortal or is he not? And then as the movie goes, you slowly work it out. Like I was quite confused by the interaction between Kit and Diana. I didn't know Kit was his alter ego. And when she walks in and she says, oh, I haven't seen you for 6 years. I was like, wait, has there been a time jump? And I was like, oh no, she doesn't know he's the Phantom. I was like, wait, what the fuck's happening here? And I was like, oh, okay, so he wasn't just living in the jungle his whole time. He went to school in the West. That kind of explains the accent, which I had a bit of an issue with earlier in the film. And you spend the whole film putting that together. But then at the end, just like, remember when we did the Addams Family podcast, when all of a sudden they're just like, I'm not sure if this is clear. We're going to explain it all. They explain it all at the end when the horse is fucking bolted. We know all this stuff now. We figured it out, but they're just like, we'll just repeat it all right at the end, just in case you didn't get it. And it's all part of a really clumsy final act, which I think goes some way to explaining the slightly mediocre reviews for this movie. Because I think if the start of this film is rough, but it ends as well as it starts, basically. You're just like, you get over it. But because the last thing you see is, the last 20 minutes, obviously, you're like, oh man, the ending to this film isn't fantastic. But I always thought in my head that this film got savaged by critics. I mean, Roger Ebert gave this 3.5 out of 4. He gave it a really strong review, and it's like he kind of praised his production design, visual style, old-fashioned sense of adventure, the kind of stuff you mentioned earlier. So some people really like this film. The big issue really was the box office and the fact that it just kind of disappeared for a few years until it had its kind of cult renaissance, which, as I'm finding out today, is completely justified because this is almost a great superhero film, one which looks much better than most modern ones, but which sadly shits the bed slightly at the end. But what can you do?
What's up as well with... So he's the Ghost of War. Apparently his power is he's immortal. We know he's not. He's just a man.
Yeah.
But what's up with the power of I can speak to my dead relative?
Like, so fucking randomly. So my dad, he comes back as a ghost for reasons we don't understand to just talk about how horny I should be. All right, again, this leads into what I was just talking about. They have a conversation in the back of the car where he's like, Dad, he just appears for no fucking reason, for exposition which isn't required. And he's like, Dad, I've got to solve this problem. I've got to get the skull back. And there's a girl involved. And he's like, oh, thank God. And I was just like, What did he think his son was gay? Did he think like the Phantom was gay? He's gone through years of gay therapy conversion, and now he's like, oh, finally he's into women. Of course, by the end, you're like, oh, well, of course he needs an heir, so he needs a woman, and that seems to be his whole thing. It's like, listen, I cannot be laid to rest until my son does some fucking.
That's what I was
and
going to
makes
say.
an
He,
heir.
he says it at the end. He's let the woman go. I hope he gets a missus because then I can finally sleep. Like,
Oh, you
what?
mean the random out of fucking nowhere narration at the very end of the film? Yeah, yeah, I
I
remember that
can't wait.
motherfucker.
I can't wait to watch my son fuck so I can finally go to bed. It's
If that sounds
basically
like
what
if
it
that
is.
sounds like a stretch, that's basically what he says.
Yeah. Do you know who that was as well?
The dad.
Yeah.
No. I forgot to list that one down.
So it's Patrick McGowan, who
Mm-hmm.
we know famously. I don't know if our American listeners know him much, but the prisoner. We remember
Oh,
him
I
from
should have known the prisoner from
yeah,
Wales. It's a
yeah,
strong Welsh
exactly.
connection in this film with him and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
And like, so he's got like fantastic credits
Mm-hmm.
for fucking ever. I mean, that guy's been
How did I
going
not
since
notice that?
1955. But like, so like Braveheart he was King Edward Longshanks in Braveheart the year before.
Mm-hmm.
He did Scanners, David Cronenberg
Oh,
Scanners. He did
nice.
Escape from Alcatraz. He did all of that. He did The Phantom, and he is credited as Phantom's dad.
Phantom's dad. I mean, he doesn't get a name, but he deserves more than the Phantom's dad. And
Yeah.
he's just one part of what is mostly. Right, this is going to sound a bit harsh because
Oh,
the,
sorry.
go for
And
it.
he was Billy Bones in Treasure Planet, which is an underrated Disney
Disney
film.
film. That is
It
underrated. I'll give you
flopped,
that
but I
one.
fucking love that film.
Yeah,
I
that was a
think it's
rough
great. Yeah,
period for Disney because they weren't making a
yeah.
huge amount of money. But yeah, that's a good film.
Sorry
Um,
to interrupt you.
no, it's fine, it's
Yeah.
fine. I was just going to say, like Treat Williams again, one of
I
the
love Treat Williams in this.
dude. I've got like hand on heart. You really have brought Treat Williams into my life. I hadn't seen him in
Yeah,
many films. He's not somebody I've really noticed. I love him in everything I see him in now. You are absolutely right about Treat Williams. He's fantastic in this. Zeta Jones is both great and utterly mental. Her character
need-
arc isn't an arc, it's a fucking cliff face. I have no idea why she suddenly turns good or why she's so into like is she like sexually into Diane? I don't know. Anyway,
she needs
she's
more.
great.
But she really
She
needs
needs
more.
more.
Yeah,
They need to explain her motivations because they're
yeah,
mental. And I don't understand them. Christy Swanson of Buffy the Vampire Slayer fame, she's really good in
yep,
this. She's got great
yep.
chemistry with Billy Zane. It's a shame
Cool.
that more of their romantic scenes got cut because they're great on screen together.
Caught me off guard because she is predominantly blonde. So when she it took me a
Oh
minute
yeah,
to
she
realize
does
that
look
it's
different
Christy
as a
Swanson
brunette.
again.
No,
Yeah,
totally. The only one I really thought could have done with an
James
upgrade
Remar.
is James Remar as Quill. Right, he is
Yeah,
fine. Every time I see him, he is fine. I
he's
just
not
think
medicine as a henchman.
he's not. I'm just like, if you take that role and you put, I don't know, fucking Michael Ironside in '96 or Kurtwood Smith in that
Yeah,
role,
yeah.
you're fucking flying. Like, and it's just because the rest of the cast is so good that I'm just like, he's fine. I just wait. I literally want one of those two. I want Ironside or Kurtwood Smith in that
So
role.
those two, you've gone from the muscle, which James Remar is meant to be. He's meant to be
Mhm,
the muscle, and you've brought in the psychotic
mhm, mhm.
sidekick. The unpredictable sidekick
Yeah.
with Kurtwood Smith, as you said, or Michael
Ironside could be
Irons.
both, I think.
Yeah, but I think Michael Ironside more as well with his fit and everything.
No,
Like
I
I
agree
saw a
with you.
film recently where Michael Ironside played the nice grandfather,
I don't like
and
that. Don't like
no,
that at
it
all.
really, really freaked me out. Like this isn't right. No,
No,
why isn't he got this kid trapped in a basement? He's chopping his toes off. Why? Why is he
yeah,
being
no.
nice?
Michael Ironside is a good guy, unless he's like a really basically, unless he's playing Sam Fisher. Sam Fisher,
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah.
Unless he's playing him, like super gruff. I'm like, I just like is him being like a genuine nice guy. Fucking forget about it. No,
You know who's going to be the original Phantom from the 80s?
was it? Oh, was it Bruce Campbell?
No, well, Bruce Campbell was one of them. Like when they
But
were
I think it
doing
was
this
for
film.
this film. Yeah.
When when it was floating around in the 80s and they were going to do it,
Wasn't that when like Sergio Leone was going to direct it?
I
Supposedly.
think so.
Yeah.
But I don't think they had enough spandex to fit him.
Mhm.
It was going to be Dolph.
I'm not sure about Dolph.
I know.
mean, the thing is, right, and that is one thing I say unequivocally about this film, is that Billy Zane is perfectly cast in this film, and it is proof positive that he was a ready-made movie star. Now, what this really reminded me of is, remember when we did Streets of Fire? I've mentioned this a few times, and you
Yeah.
had Michael Pear. Is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce the second name?
Yeah,
Pear?
Michael Pay, yeah.
it was another example of some right. You can't just be really good. You can't just look the part, sound the part. How about you need that bit of luck? Now, I think if Billy Zane, if this had been a really big hit and it led to two, three more movies, I think he's on a bunch of posters selling movies for the next decade. Same with Michael Pear. He was a ready-made just superstar, ready to go. And you can see it all over the screen in Streets of Fire. The Streets of Fire tanked, and he just doesn't get another chance because the world was awash with, white leading men in the late 80s, early 90s. So it's just he didn't get another chance. And you see this film, you're just like, oh my God, man, Billy Zane, he could have carried movies. I really believe that. But obviously, he had his shot with this. It flopped, and he just never quite got to that level again, did he? I just think in an alternative universe where this hits big in the same way that Batman did, I think he's like the poster guy for the next decade. But it is what it is.
He gave us about 7 Sniper sequels, so he's doing all right.
Who's that?
Billy Zane.
Was he in all the Sniper films?
He wasn't in all of them, but he was in the original Sniper. He was the trainee sniper. And then he just came back in a bunch of Sniper sequels.
It's so weird with Billy Zane. He's had the weirdest career because he's more famous than he really should be. Because he was in this. He basically got the role because of Dead Calm, which is a pretty solid film. But then he's like the fourth lead in Titanic, admittedly one of the biggest movies of all time. But nobody, when they think of Titanic, immediately thinks of Billy Zane, except for maybe you, in fairness. And then his other credits, the known fours, are Back to the Future, which he's in for 2.5 seconds, and Tombstone, where he's good in Tombstone, but again, he's like the 7th lead.
So one of the dudes from Back to the Future is in this film. So Casey Siemaszko, as Siemazko, he's the other guy in Quill's truck at the beginning.
The guy gets strangled by the skeleton.
No, because that guy dies, doesn't he? No.
Yeah.
So at the truck, when you got the two, and he says, the little kid says, "Turn the map over, you."
Got you. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
That's so. I'm wondering if he got the job because he's friends with Billy Zane. But then he was also in Stand by Me. He was one of the. I think
he was one of the older kids, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was the brother of Vern. Was it Vern? Fucking.
One of them, yeah, I know.
The fat kid. I don't want to say fat kid. I don't like saying that. But what's his real name in real life?
Oh, Vern's real name. Oh God, Jesus Christ, we should know that, shouldn't we?
Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell, good man.
So I think he's Jerry O'Connell's older brother in that. Yeah. But yeah, random because again, just picking out random actors. I knew who Casey Siemaszko was. So just and because you mentioned Back to the Future, they must have been just like, oh mate, you were my friend Match. We might as well do this. Why don't we get because the other person from Back to the Future, or was it Back to the Future 2? Was Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it was Bruce Lee. Yeah. He's wearing the ridiculous hat and stuff like that, isn't he? From Soldier fame, of course, as we did a few weeks ago. But that's the thing, right? We've already picked out the next 4 movies for the series. So we don't know what order we're going to do in. We'll obviously get to pick them and stuff like that. But the one thing you can say about all these movies, they've all got something that people like or certain things people hate. But the one thing unequivocally is that these movies massively damage the careers of the stars. None of them got away scot-free from these movies. All of them were just either there or on the cusp of becoming, as I don't know where this term I've got, poster guys, triple A movie stars, and they never quite got back there. Well, one did obviously, but we'll get into that down the line. But all of their careers were damaged by all 4 of these movies. I
don't know. I'm assuming that Stephen Summers watched The Phantom and thought, oh, do you know what? Fucking Xander Drax, Treat Williams, he'd be perfect for my monster on a boat film. But that's the
thing. You can be Treat Williams in this film, and it's absolutely fine. You're not on the poster. You're just the fun guy giving the very, very big performance. And again, it's part of those this movie nods to other again, growing up, I thought of this as being a Batman movie, and I think in many ways, Treat Williams has looked at this and going, "I'm going full Jack Nicholson."
I think that's where he went
for the fences. Sadly, the director's gone, "No, this is an Indiana Jones movie," and you see it right from the off. There's the rope bridge from Temple of Doom. There's the idol from Raiders. And again, I think that's one of the reasons this film suffered is because when this was released in 1996, The Last Crusade was still relatively fresh in the mind. It was 6-7 years earlier.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're putting yourself in that bracket, you're immediately encouraging comparison to one of the greatest action movies of all time. And this film is loads of fun. It's not
Oh
fucking
God,
Raiders
no.
of the Lost Ark
No,
by any
no,
stretch.
absolutely not. Not at all. It's just it's in its own little I guess bubble. It's just it's fun for the wrong like I don't want to say wrong reasons,
Mhm.
but it's a guy in purple being in places he shouldn't be. Like you shouldn't see this guy in purple running around the jungle. You definitely shouldn't see him all of a sudden in New York City. It's absolutely to be fair, I don't know where you would see a guy in purple. Let's be fair, like I
I
said,
tell
on
you
a
that.
Prince stage. But
That does actually answer one of my questions for this film. Is like, I'm like, one, what are his powers? I have no idea. And two, I'm just like, is the Phantom actually a bit shit? And I blame the suit because people get the drop on the Phantom constantly
yeah,
in this film. People get like, he should have been dead like 10 times. I'm just like, this
no.
guy's, I was like, is this guy actually any good? I don't think he is.
So the Phantom has no powers whatsoever. Like so, the whole I can
He's
talk
just
to my,
quite acrobatic. That's quite it.
the
That's
whole
about
I
it.
can talk to my dad thing is basically it is. It's just it's a legacy, isn't it? That's so you're going to go into the family business. You've got no choice. So I'm going to train you since birth to be. What I question is what happens if the Phantom dies while the kid is one? Does he become baby Phantom?
Or if he's like, right, let's just say in this film, in one of the numerous situations where he very easily could have slash should have died, right from the start, there's the sequence on the bridge, for instance.
Yeah,
He goes to save the kid. The bridge flips upside down. By the grace of God, somehow the truck remains attached to the bridge. Lucky escape. They then fall through. He grabs the kid. Just by chance, there's rope there. They get away with it again. Say he dies in that situation, or just
yeah.
by chance, one of the 22 people in this film who get the drop on him just decide to be like, I'm just going to shoot him, and he's dead. He doesn't even have an heir. That's the end of the Phantom line.
Yep.
Like, no more Phantoms. And no one's
And
going to
he
go
was
to the jungles of Bengala and go like, dude, have you seen all these? Maybe I should be the next Phantom. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said about just finding the rope as well, because I wrote down this guy is finding vines and ropes like Mutt Williams from the Crystal Skull. Like I
Absolutely.
see when he just like randomly, oh, I need to get. He found a fucking rope in Kabai Sang's,
Yeah.
like
Leia
Leia,
in
as
his
it
kind
were.
of, I don't know, pirate ship
They
Leia.
take their ship apart, put it back together somehow in the cave, but
Mhm,
like connected to the cave because Kabai Sang's on his bridge, as it were.
mhm, mhm.
But it's not a ship. It's
Well, that's one of my issues with
and they
this
got a
film.
fucking submarine.
And
What?
again, it's the whole thing about, this film encourages comparison to better films, and very specifically Indiana Jones films. What you really notice the difference. There are many reasons why Indiana Jones is better than this film, but the construction of stunt scenes. Now, these are shot well, the stunts, but they're constructed and they're conceived of poorly. And in that opening sequence, when you've got him on the horse and he's chasing the truck, you're like, oh, this is going to be like a classic Indiana Jones showdown. And it's shot well and it's all pretty fun. But then all of a sudden, they have a sequence when he jumps off his horse for no reason, finds a fucking pole in the jungle, which he starts spinning around. Now, if I would love to find someone who could explain the logistics of him swinging on that pole as the truck continues to drive the fuck away, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden he just lands on the front of the truck. It doesn't make any sense. It's all
It's
over designed. There's a sequence, for instance, when he's back in New York and he slides down
yes,
the
with his
cable with the lift.
yeah, with
And
his
he uses
guns.
his guns and his shoes, and they do a zoom in. And I'm like, that's just totally overshot and overthought.
What are his shoes made of? Because they just look like normal shoes, like part
Yeah.
of the onesie, and they're smoking. By the time he gets to the bottom of that pure steel cable, he
Mhm.
should have holes in his feet. The other thing you said about
It's just unnecessarily. It's just like I said. It's over. I don't know. Over created. Over
yeah,
designed. There we go. Sorry.
the other thing you said about the logistics. The one thing I wanted to mention was when he rescues Diana the first time from Catherine Zeta-Jones and the Femme Fatales,
Mhm,
and they get into the plane and they fly off. The first thing he does, I've never seen a hero do before. He jumps off the plane first.
mhm.
He doesn't drop her off onto the horse and make sure she's safe. Fucks off first.
That
So
scene
she's
is awesome. But
yeah, it
yeah.
is awesome. And that plane is just flying straight
Mhm.
constantly. And for what felt like 70 miles. And the horse is keeping up with that plane because
Yeah,
that's
it was a
going
little bit
fast.
It was a little bit
Yeah.
Fast and Furious 7, wasn't it? I think,
Yeah.
if
And
that's the
then
right one.
she dropped off. Oh, is that the one where they jump over the bridge?
No, it's the one
Oh,
where it ends where the plane is on the runway and all the cars are chasing it, and someone figured it out. It's like the runway would have to be like I don't know, 27 miles long or
it's
something.
at the six.
Okay, sorry, my
Yeah.
apologies. Six.
No, that's okay. Get your Fast and Furious right.
I
So you
know.
don't
Right, I
fucking
should sort
yeah.
this out. Jesus Christ.
But I couldn't understand it. And then just as she drops off, which is fine, she's been on there for like 10 minutes trying to jump off. She does it just at the right time, lands on a horse perfectly, just for them to break, so the plane can crash into all of a sudden the
Into
cliff
the
that just
mountain.
appeared out of
Yeah,
nowhere. Absolutely fantastic.
yeah.
Can and I'm completely changing the subject, absolutely, only
No,
because
go
I've
for
just
it.
remembered it. What did you call the Bermuda Triangle thing? Do you call it the Devil's
I
Toe
call
or
it
whatever it was?
the devil's kneecap. I know it's the
Yeah.
devil's vortex,
The
but at
Devil's
the time I was
Vortex.
like, it's
I
the devil's
thought
something or
I was
another.
really hoping it was like the Devil's Butthole or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, it might as well have been. And again, like so many things in this film, it seemed incredibly easy to find as soon as it was pointed out on the map. I was just like, nobody's finding this giant. They didn't have to. Usually, you get like something where it's like, oh, they fly through an invisible barrier or a cloud or a storm, which usually you would be like, well, I'll never fly through it. But like, no, keep going. It'll be on the other side, and it is. It's just like it's just sticking out the top of the cloud. It's like that seems easy to find,
Yeah.
but that's true of the whole Sang Brotherhood, this ancient order of evil. They say they're
Before you go
trying
into
to
the Sang
find.
Brotherhood, before you go into them, sorry, mate, this
No
is while it's
worries.
in my head. Who is doing their shopping? They're very strapping lads on an island that apparently you can't get out of, but it
Mhm.
turns out because they're using their magic submarine to do
Of
the
course.
shooting and stuff. And it's just a bunch of dudes there.
Mhm.
So are they recruiting more dudes? Like, are they doing a Phantom, but instead of heirs, they're just recruiting people?
Well,
Because
that's the thing.
there's no
I
women.
never really get the idea of the Sang Brotherhood. Like at the end when Shang Tsung, and that's literally what I shouted at the screen when I saw, what's his name? Sorry, Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Yeah.
He pops up on screen out of nowhere. And they're not cool, Shang Tsung. And they have this whole back and forth that they're both part of Shang Tsung. Like they're both part of the same franchises, but one's had franchise in Virginia, one's had franchise in Wyoming. And you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, dude, I never fucking knew, bro. And I'm just like, wait, who are these old school pirates on the island? I was like, this is all so fucking confusing. Sure, it's cool that it's Shang Tsung, but I'm like, I don't really get what's going on or why they would. Surely they should be on the same team. They've all got the same tattoos and stuff. And you got Treat Williams, who's just there with his shitty grin, like he has no idea what's going on. He's just winging it, apparently. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is all getting a bit clumsy and silly now, to the point where the Phantom declares himself rather than just swinging down on the sneak. But I guess you might as well declare yourself if you're wearing bright fucking purple. Who gives a shit?
I
You're
mean,
gonna be
nobody
seen.
saw him coming at all. He flew that entire way on like just on the plane. He managed to swim to the seaplane,
Mhm.
stow away somewhere where nobody can see him. It's not a massive plane. He's just stayed on the
He was
fucking
hanging off that plane.
yeah.
I checked to fly from New York to Bermuda on a modern plane would take 2 hours and 10 minutes. Now, there's no way that plane's doing it. So, say he's hanging off that plane for 3 hours plus. They make it all look very casual, except for the one bit where they have it like, let's make it look like he might fall off for no apparent reason, just randomly. But it's like the wind isn't really blowing his face or anything. He's just chilling on the plane. He's just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna wait
And
here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's a very strange
you're
sequence.
telling me nobody in those 2 hours, 30 minutes, 3 hours, wherever it is, looked out the window and saw the giant purple fucking thing
Nobody's
hanging on.
they prove it early in the film. Nobody's plus by it. It's like when he lands on what appears to be a female sex ship, and he lands, and Catherine Zeta-Jones just immediately is down to fuck, and you got Diana there just looking great, and everyone's kissing him, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is pretty awesome. Nobody goes, wait a minute. Why the fuck is this guy wearing like a purple suit? Nobody brings it up. Everyone's just like, that seems like a legit thing for a quote unquote hero to wear. I like the fact that he's got guns, of course. That's a proper
Oh, the
throwback.
guns are good, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's better than the original
very Tomb
Phantoms.
Raider.
The original Phantoms that probably had cutlasses or whatever it was. I mean, he's upgraded himself. So
Well,
it's
yeah.
what I did like about the suit was the weird. If you look at it properly, he has like a purplish skull as well in the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
light. So I thought that was great. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
completely
right.
changing
No,
the
no,
subject.
like the actual design for a 90s superhero movie, the design of the suit doesn't actually look that bad. It's just it's a purple suit.
Purple.
What the fuck
It's
can you do with it?
fucking
Yeah,
purple.
it's
I'm
fucking
completely
purple.
changing the subject, right?
Go for it.
But you mentioned Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Mhm.
Do you know what his last film was? He did it in 2020.
No idea.
I remember seeing the trailer, but thinking it was a concept. I don't even remember that it's been a film, but now I want to watch it. Sky Sharks. Do you remember
Sky
seeing
Sharks.
the trailer?
Yes, I remember Sky Sharks.
The
Yes.
the Nazi Sky Sharks or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. Those are, I mean, we talked about this before. Those are exactly the kind of films that I hate, where it's just like, oh, they're purposefully bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. As I said,
I don't
I
know.
hate movies like Sharknado and stuff.
Oh no, Sharknado, I'm out.
I
But
don't like them.
an army of genetically modified sharks piloted by superhuman Nazi zombies. I'm in. I
The
mean,
thing is, right, you can
it could
take
be
if
Dead
you
Snow 3 for
if
me.
you yeah, well, that's the thing, right? If you take the concept, a ludicrous concept, but you try and make a good film, I'm fine with that. I'm genuinely fine. Like you said, like what are they called? The ones with the Nazi zombies in the snow?
Dead Snow.
Yeah, they're clearly trying to make. They're aware that it's a silly concept, but they're making good movies. They're decent. No problem with that. It's when they're like it, like everybody hams it up like it's a shit
Yeah.
movie, but they're doing it on
Yeah.
purpose. I don't want to see Eric Roberts
No.
pretend to be a bad actor. I just because I know he's a fucking good actor. I don't like him. I didn't like. I really thought I was going to love Snakes on a Plane. I was like, oh, Samuel L. Jackson, Snakes on a Plane. That film's rubbish. It's ass. Although I know you don't like it, I am a fan of it. I thought Cocaine Bear kind of was in that kind of middle ground where it's like high concept, but they made a good movie out of it. But I know you hate it, so it's not for it's personal.
Oh no,
taste,
I didn't. No. Dave's the one that hated it.
Oh,
I
that
thought
was
it was
sorry,
all
Dave
right.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave's the one that hated it. I was because we watched it together. We did for context. But what I love, so going back to Dead Snow, because Tommy Wakola, I love the fact he just gave us Angry Santa in a Home Alone film. He gave us Violent Night.
Yeah. There is
Yeah.
that as well. There is
Yeah.
that. Like I said, I like high concept films. I just don't like it when we're doing fake rubbish films. Can't get on board with that. But I totally forgot with this film actually that about like what is it, 40 minutes in, we suddenly moved to New York, and that's where you get that additional reminder that the director Simon Wentz is like legit. It's proper, and you mentioned it in your intro, proper old school, old fashioned movie making. It's so nostalgic. You got this guy, literally, Billy Zane looks like he's walked out of the 30s. He looks like a 1930s movie star. The way they shoot the city is wonderfully nostalgic. I love all that stuff. And you're like, well, it all makes sense because he had, Simon's made some good movies. He's had highs and lows, as you'd expect. But he did Quickly Down Under in 1990, a good film. Free Willy was massive when I was a kid, that film. He did NASCAR 3D, the IMAX experience, so he's done like cutting edge stuff. He did, was it Monty Walsh with, I was just Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck in that. He did The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, which were well received. He did Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man, which I have to mention.
Thank you.
Right, what the fuck is going on with Harley Davidson and The Marlboro Man? Because I keep seeing fake trailers and fake posters with Tom Hardy and Jason Momoa. And I know they're fake because that film's not in production. And I was like, why has everyone just got a boner for this movie, Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man? I was just like, I didn't know people were so keen for a remake. It seems bizarre.
Seen it?
What's that?
Have you seen it?
No, I've never seen the film. I'm aware of it, but I didn't know people had like some kind of like. Oh,
I mean, I'm seeing everything at the moment. Like, I'm seeing like this AI is going insane because I'm seeing like Mighty Ducks 2 again, but like, I don't know why it's just Mighty Ducks 2. I saw the other day, like the Kurt Russell, but I'm a Santa 3. Like all these, just AI is going nuts.
Mighty Ducks 2. There is already a Mighty Ducks 2, though.
Yeah, but apparently there's another Mighty Ducks 2. That
An
like,
AI
was trying to do it, like where everyone's old.
All that stuff is just absolute dog shit. I mean, most of his back catalog, if you look at his IMDb, is pretty good. He is an Australian director, and I get it. The Call of Paul Hogan is strong, but his two genuinely bad movies.
No, don't say it.
Go for it.
Crocodile Dundee 3. I'll give you that. That's bad.
Los Angeles.
Stadia, the one we're gonna have words.
Lightning Jack's ass, dude.
Lightning Jack. I love Cuba Gooding Jr. as a mute.
Oh, dude, right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Another film I haven't seen for ages, but I remember watching that when I was younger.
Oh, mate, you're still not gonna like it.
I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna have a turnabout like I did with the fans.
He also gave us Operation Dumbo Drop.
Oh yeah, of course he did. Yeah.
But go back to the Harley Davidson thing. Don't watch it. We'll do it on this podcast. Yeah, we'll do it on the podcast. We got to. Because
I'd be more than keen to.
It's fucking insane. Mm-hmm. Like why these two guys are friends. That's not their nicknames, by the way. That's what everybody. Well, there is nicknames. That you don't know. That's what everybody in the film calls them.
Yeah.
The Marlboro Man and Harley Davidson.
Fair enough. It just seems bizarre that I was looking through this, and literally this week I've seen a bunch of posts. I was like, oh, Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man. I was like, I haven't heard that film for ages. I'm like, are they remaking that? And you see it with Momoa and Tom Hardy on the posters. Like, oh yeah, I kind of get it. And they're just like, no, it's fake. It's all fake. And I was like, who's creating this bullshit? But yeah, people just put. That's the problem. It's so easy to create any old wank with AI. People are just spewing it out, so it's fucking everywhere. Sadly.
Mickey Rourke, Don Johnson, Chelsea Field, Daniel Baldwin, Giancarlo Esposito, Vanessa Williams, Tia Carrera, Tom Sizemore.
That's legit. That's legit. That is. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this on the podcast. We
Yeah.
can talk more about AI then. But no, I am genuinely forward to.
Go back to the.
It's one of those like
Phantom.
weird ones. Like we've. I mean, you probably have less than me because you've seen a lot of movies. But there's like a bunch of movies where I'm almost just like amazed I haven't seen them. But then every so often, it really is a tangent with nothing to do with this movie. But as a Stephen King fan and a purveyor of somewhat obscure movies, right? I think it was on IGN. Stephen King made a list of his 10 favorite movies.
Yeah.
And one of them was called Sorcerer. And I was just like, Sorcerer? I was like, well, it sounds like a fantasy film.
Oh,
And I
is
was
that
like,
that's not the one with Roy Scheider?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
And it's directed by Friedkin, is that his name? The guy who directed The Exorcist and The French Connection and stuff like that. So
William Friedkin.
William Friedkin, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And of course, you see William Friedkin, you see Roy Scheider, and you're just like, oh, it's one of his favorite films of all time. And one of the first things that comes up is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite films. And I was just like, I've never heard of this film. I've never seen the poster. I don't know shit about this film. I don't like. You see I watched the trailer. Then, of course, I don't know. I have no idea why it's called Sorcerer. It's insane.
No,
but
I
it's
think
just
so.
one of those films
if I remember rightly, I don't. I think.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Sorry, no. I'm just. I think Sorcerer was maybe The Trap. I can't remember. I watched this film a long time ago. All I remember, it was a bunch of guys agreeing to transport explosives across the jungle. I think.
Yeah. So they were basically I don't know, they crashed or something like that, or maybe they owed somebody something. So they were all from different parts of the world, and they all have to club together to get like some kind of drug across the border, and it all gets very dangerous. It looks great. It's obviously by a great director. It's got really good reviews, and it was just one of those surprising things. I was just like, that feels like it's just dropped out of the sky. Like if someone told me that was an AI thing, I'd be like, oh yeah. Well, I've never heard of it, but it's a real thing. I'd have to assure you, you've seen it. But that could be another one for the podcast, man.
Speaking of tangents and dropping out of the sky, have you seen that Patton Oswalt is in a film that there was a random film from the 80s called Deathstalker? And they've just remade it, like just randomly, like just out of the blue, remade this film called Deathstalker. So Daniel Bernhardt is in it, who you don't know, but you do know. This dude is in. Basically, he's at a resurgence at the moment. He's the guy who trained Nobody, Better Call Saul, Bob Odenkirk.
So I just looked up. I totally remember the poster for Deathstalker. Yeah. And I also remember it was supposed to be absolute ass.
Oh, it's terrible. There's this thing where he's got like a six-bladed sword or something, and they bring that sword back in this new one. But the guy that actually wrote it, the guy that actually directed it is the guy that gave us like Psycho Gorman. Do you remember that film from a couple of years ago, Psycho Gorman?
Is this Stephen Kontansky you were saying?
Yeah.
No, I don't know Psycho Gorman.
Oh, Psycho Gorman's great.
I've wanted to see The Void. That's been on my list for a long time.
Yeah.
Psycho Gorman passed me by. I don't know anything about that. I know The Divide, and I do quite like those VHS films. He did one of.
What about Leprechaun Returns?
Probably not.
Okay.
One Leprechaun was more than enough for me. Thank you.
So Daniel Bernhardt, so he trained Bob Odenkirk in to be a kick-ass guy, and he's in both Nobodies as two different characters. He's also been in a couple of the John Wick films as different. Like he was in John Wick 1, and I think he was in 3 or 4. But he came to my attention because of the Bloodsport sequels. He was in Bloodsport 2 to 4.
Of course he did. Like for me, I'm just like I know he's one of the agents from like the Matrix sequels, and you're just like, oh yeah. So the dude, the third lead from Bloodsport 4, that's my guy. I'm just, okay.
No, he's not the third lead. He was the guy that took over
from Jean-Claude.
From Jean-Claude, because Jean-Claude only did the first one.
Of course.
So it was like, I think it was things like Bloodsport, the next Kumite, and then Bloodsport 3, and then Bloodsport 4, the dark Kumite. Like
those all. The problem is, those all sound awesome. They all sound awesome, but I just know they're not. I just know for a fact that I don't need to see them. I don't need to be
No, you
told.
don't.
I
You
just
really
know that
don't.
they're terrible. But yeah,
Just
as tangents go, I feel like that was a tangent within a tangent, so we've done pretty
yeah,
well.
I do apologize.
Oh no, that's absolutely fine. I just wanted to bring this back to like Treat Williams because, as you said, like
Oh,
his
yeah,
performance in this, he is so going for it, and I loved it. Like when he's talking, when he's giving his presentation to his other like kind of head goons about the
yeah.
skull of Tuganda, and he's doing it all with a straight face, and that one guy keeps going about. Wait, so we've only got, instead of going like this is ludicrous, he gets caught up with the idea that they only have one skull. It's like, great, I have the location for the second skull. And you think, oh well, he's an evil dude, but he's willing to talk these things through. 2 minutes later, he's throwing a spear through a guy's back. I'm like, oh,
Fucking
okay, I
what?
fucking
Like,
love you.
the force you'd have to pierce to get it through and get it into the wall. He's on about his Poseidus or wherever it is. The other thing that I wanted to mention, because you mentioned what's up with the mob? Why are they trying? I appreciate you having the commissioner or the chief of police or whatever it is on your
Mhm.
payroll. But the whole introduction of, oh, we got the mob, you're the boss of bosses. You don't see the mob anymore. You've got Quill, who is Sang Brotherhood, so he's not the mob.
Yeah.
Then you've got the leader of the mob who you're making do your bidding. There's no
Mhm.
more thing about the mob.
No, I mean, again, it kind of all reminded me a little bit, if we're going to bring it back to comparisons with Batman, was like, Bob, you are my number one guy. And again,
Yeah.
it's a better written movie. So you get this one random mob guy, but for some odd reason in Batman, it makes sense. Whereas in this film, because they don't really explain the character, it just feels like like so many things in this movie, especially in the last half, it just feels like it falls out of the sky. And that's
Yeah.
ultimately, it's like death by 1,000 cuts as you move towards a slightly clumsy denouement, where you're just like, this film is genuinely really good for like 40 minutes until eventually it feels like, oh no, I'm gonna have to start explaining
Yeah.
myself,
Well,
and it all gets a bit clumsy.
you can tell they did that. It must have been on like, I don't know, the third draft or wherever it was, the
Mhm.
third rewrite. Because they're going, okay, what are we going to do with these skulls? Like he's got these skulls, but what happens with the power of these skulls? Oh, I don't know. There's a fourth skull. Wait, what? Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
just tell them there's a fourth skull that can, like, without the fourth skull, then the power's useless, or like, blah blah blah. The fourth skull is the better skull. Okay,
yeah.
where's the fourth skull? Like, you haven't mentioned the fourth skull throughout the 90 minutes of this film. No, it's
Mhm.
fine. I tell you what, do you know that ring he wears, the symbols that he's the Phantom? Well, yeah, there's your fourth skull.
Well, yeah, but what are we going to do that? Oh, yeah, we're going to just lose all credibility by having what is ostensibly a battle of the Schwartzes at the end of the film.
Yes.
It's honestly one of the worst sequences in an otherwise good film I have ever seen. It is fucking terrible.
I give say Battle of the Schwartzes, but I went to Big Trouble in Little China, good magic versus bad magic.
Yeah, but that made it look cool. This looked
Yeah.
like a parody. I mean, it looked like a parody of the parody. And it's such a shit. Like, and I don't know why. Like, yeah, he's a big character, he's insane. But right up until the last moment, Treat Williams' character Drax looked like he was happy to be exploded at the end of the film. Every so often, like his performance is big, but he has a sequence, say, with Shang, I'm just calling him Shang Tsung now,
Yeah.
at the end of the film where they literally look like they're just trying to outact each other, and it goes slightly off the rails, to be honest.
I don't understand the power of the skulls either. So
No.
you put the skulls together, and the
Mhm.
power, like, it gives you power, it gives you mortality, it gives you super strength. No, it doesn't do anything of that. You hold them very awkwardly, and the
Mhm.
one skull shoots out lasers. That's your power.
That's it. Yeah, it's a okay laser until it runs into a slightly better ring laser.
I mean,
It's such
what
a
would have
shame.
happened if if he put all three together and they were in a room with a big map?
It'd be fun.
Like, would the laser have gone from the Phantom and just found the big map? No. We're going to shoot him. We want to shoot a map. Where's the map? I want the map.
Like that's the problem, right? With the end of this film, is that you get like this big, as you mentioned earlier, this Errol Finn fight sequence. You get like a secret boat. You get all this nonsense, and the only bit that actually works is when Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa as Kabai Sang shoots the mob boss with a cannon. It's it's exactly as awesome as you hope it'd
That
be.
dude fucking flew.
And it's like it really is like something out of a cartoon.
He,
And this film doesn't always get the tone right. And again, I think the problem is, as we've kind of alluded to a few times, is that you've had these script rewrites and no one can quite decide how true or not they want to
yeah.
be to the source material. The source material actually didn't have so many fantastical elements, especially the early serials, which this is largely based on. that moment feels perfect. And quite often they do get it right. You get like the little quips by Billy Zane. I think his performance is spectacular. And you get these little moments of comedy running through it. And when he gets hit by that cannonball, it's truly fantastic. But then it's followed by another bit where you're just like, I'm not sure if I should be taking this seriously or not.
We needed more Aseng, though. I mean, as much as I loved Xander Drax chewing up the scenery, Treat Williams, I think he was great. We needed a bit more of Sang, not just at the end, because he did two things perfectly well. You said he did the cannon, that was great. Like I'm sitting on a cannon or whatever it was he said. But then when he's fighting the Phantom and his other guy steps in, he stabs him in the side, kicks him off, and goes, "No, this is my fight." He didn't just tell his guy, like the guy who's, I guess, his loyal comrade, didn't tell him to just step aside. It's fine. Go fight somebody else. Go pick on a woman. You're fine. No, he stabbed this dude in the side. How dare you attack the Phantom? Fuck you. He's mine.
He's mine. Yeah. I was wondering. See, I just thought this now, just because you mentioned the whole canon thing. I wonder if, because obviously he's Australian and he's gone on to direct Paul Hogan. Is that sequence his homage to Crocodile Dundee? Like, that's not a gun.
I've got a dong.
This is a gun. Yeah, I've got a dong. I've got a cannon. Yeah. It feels like it probably is.
Yeah, it could be.
And it's a great sequence. And it's just, throughout the film, you have great sequences which are often kind of not completely derailed, but slightly curtailed by like strange design choices or odd kind of narrative design, whatever you want to call it. But then those little issues become bigger and bigger as the film goes on. And it's just a shame that you end up, you leave the movie with a slightly sour taste because it's at its weakest in the last 20 to 30 minutes, because that Errol Flynn fight sequence, for instance, is genuinely pretty good. But everything with the boat, actually, like all the stuff, like, sorry, I'll get to my point. This film is aesthetically brilliant for like 90% of its runtime. It was made in 1996, but because of that old-fashioned movie-making style, it's on set, like great set design, or they go on location, it largely looks fantastic. All the worst-looking shots are right at the end of the film. So you have the Schwartz battle, looks garbage. You have the bit with the Phantom hanging off the back of the boat, looks terrible. You have the island exploding, looks rough. They're the three worst shots in the movie by a country mile, and they happen within like 45 seconds of each other.
The floating skulls CGI. That was tough.
Again, all part of the same sequence, essentially.
Before we moved on as well, I know we do need to move on. We've been talking about this for a long time. When he manages to jump, and how this dude has no powers, I don't know. Because he managed to jump over the side before just as he killed Drax, grab onto the last bit of chain, which should have tore his arms apart, but that's fine. He got out. They couldn't get out of so he had to let them out of the submarine. So they would have been fucked if he died. But he was bone dry.
Yeah, he was bone dry.
He was bone dry when he let him out.
It's strange stuff. And like you said, there are moments throughout this film where I was trying to figure out, I was like, wait, does he have powers or doesn't he have powers? I know like the big thing was like, is he immortal? Is he not? Okay, we get it. He's clearly not immortal, but he has power. Like, but what if he doesn't have powers? Why does he have a ghost dad who pops up like twice in the film? Is this like a Star Wars thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi? Why is dad so horny? And that, like you said, right through to the final credit. And it's a shame because the horny dad narration ruins what are actually really ingenious credit sequence where it just cuts to a bunch of different locations in Bengala. I was like, I love that. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. But I'm still kind of half sniggering at the fact that it ends with the horny dad. And I'm just like, the horny ghost dad.
Sure, if you listen closely, you can hear a couple of pumps of lube or moisturizer just as he's
just like, oh no, I'm pretty sure she's going to come back. I know we haven't explained it well, it's probably on the cutting room floor, but I think she's going to come back. Yeah, very, very strange. Should we move on to favorite scene?
We might have to, because we've talked a lot. Yeah, go on, favorite scene.
It's probably for me the plane escape / horse jump sequence, like in terms of like nailing all the aspects of a stunt, because like I said, there are loads of good stunts, but a few too many where you kind of just go, why is that happening? I don't quite get it. Despite that, the fact that they're shot really well. From start to finish, I think with the horse running alongside, the way they shoot it, there's even one bit which has a touch of the North by Northwest where he's on the horse and she's still hanging off the plane and the camera's in front of them and they're running towards it. I was like, oh, that really is quite Hitchcockian. I think that sequence is one of the best. I quite enjoyed the boat infiltration. It's absolutely bananas, but it's shot really well. But I think the plane escape / horse jump is the best one.
How big is that laundry chute? I know you see films and everything where people can fit down laundry chutes, but fuck me, he didn't even like touch the sides. He jumped straight down. Like the momentum of him going down, it should have killed him by the end.
They really tried to make it look heroic, him jumping down a laundry chute,
Yeah.
but it's still him jumping down a laundry chute. So yeah, that sequence is all kind of silly. But as I said, the whole plane escape horse
Yeah,
jump
no,
is
that's great. Yeah.
pretty dope. So
For me, it's the Phantom's jungle introduction. So the way he just jumps on his white horse named Hero, followed by his dog named Devil.
who
know.
we've hardly had time to mention, but yeah, they're there.
Just punching out some Tomb Raiders, just like it's another day for him. It feels like it's that classic pulp hero entrance. It's dramatic. It's slightly absurd. It's I think so. You see it as this guy means business, even if he's dressed like a fucking grape.
Well,
It's insane.
he is dressed like a grape, but it does set the tone perfectly. I do love that sequence where it's just kind of a close up on his eyes, and it's just off to work. Basically, there's trouble in Bengala, so I'm off on my horse with my
because he's not always the Phantom. We've seen Batman kit up. You've mentioned Batman a lot of times on this. We've seen Batman kit up. When there's trouble, Batman kits up. But there's Kit Walker, for lack of a better word. Does he
just
dress up
about as the Phantom?
So is he just walking around the Skull Cave as the Phantom, just in case he gets called? And who's calling him? How does he know there's trouble?
I don't know. He senses it again. It's the whole thing about whether he has magic powers or not. It's all very inconsistent, sadly. In terms of loves and hates, my three loves this film. Number one, I mentioned it a couple of times. It really is the cast. I know I mentioned the one weak point, but for the most part, the cast is absolutely fantastic. Number two, the commitment and accuracy of the source material. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the material is taken directly from the original Falk comics, especially the first two serialized stories, the Sing Brotherhood from 96 and the Sky Band from 37. I mentioned the fact that the original comics were more grounded and had a bit less fancy. But I think tonally, this genuinely does feel like a serial from the 30s. You can nitpick about inconsistencies and stuff, but for the most part, you watch it and go, no, this really does look like a serial, even more so arguably than, say, Indiana Jones.
You could imagine him on the other side of the island, like to Tarzan's island from the 20s and things 100%, like that. So,
100%. Number three, the old school filmmaking and aesthetic. Like, we mentioned the fact that's wonderfully nostalgic, but it really, in many respects, feels like a film that could have been shot in 1938, but just with better cameras. So, those are my loves anyway.
For me, it's the stylized pulp adventure, the vibe of that. It leans hard into the 1930s settings. You get the jungle temples, the Art Deco New York, the swashbuckling action. It feels like it's lifted straight from the comic strip, to be fair. That nostalgic tone with the rope bridges, the skulls, the villains who monologue. Like, fucking Xander Drax loves a monologue, dude.
He does love a monologue.
Which I will go into. So my third one, where I'll go straight into, is Treat Williams going full camp. He's chewing scenery like it's a buffet. He's just the glee he's delivering these lines with. Like, he's having a fucking great time. It's just over the top villainy. It's really good. And my third, Billy Zane's earnest performance. I mean, he's playing it straight, which is somehow great considering what would go into my hates with the purple spandex. So,
he does a great job with it. Yeah,
his physicality, his charisma. I haven't even mentioned. I'm going to sneak in a fourth, and usually you do this, but I'm going to sneak in a fourth. It's the weird 1920s, 1930s cabbies. You get them from these kind of films, like the loudmouth cabbie who becomes your best friend. Like,
we really should have mentioned. Is it John Capadese? Is that how you pronounce it? Capadece or something?
Taxi driver Al or wherever it was.
Al the cabbie, who's like maybe the ultimate kind of that guy. Like, when I see him, I immediately think of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. He has somebody, fucking shit the farm. Well, sorry, that is not the direct quote, but it's something along those lines. But yeah, as soon as you see him, you're like, oh, I know him from movies, but I can't remember what. And yes, he's oddly memorable in this movie. You
get, like, with the Shadow as well, you get that cab driver who becomes his friend. And he's that guy. And then you realize that cab driver is fucking Everybody Loves Raymond's dad.
It's weird how you get these in so many action films. It's like Die Hard. Okay, it's not a cab, it's a limousine. The same kind of shtick. A lot of these action movies have oddly heroic cab drivers. A big part of Deadpool is the fucking cab driver.
The cab,
absolutely bizarre. In terms of hates, the Phantom, and this is the Phantom, not Billy Zane. Billy Zane is fantastic, but the Phantom himself is a tad rubbish at times. He just is. As I say, he gets lucky. Everyone gets the drop on him. He's got the ridiculous suit. I'm not convinced the Phantom is all that great, and I'm not convinced he's going to survive to see his heir take his place. Number two, as great as Catherine Zeta-Jones is, and she is chewing the scenery, is it Salah, a character name, I think it is?
Yeah.
She doesn't get she doesn't get enough to do for one, and then when they do decide to put an emphasis on her, it doesn't make any sense. They just don't give her enough screen time. So, as I said, her sudden change of heart to become good falls out of the sky. It makes absolutely no sense, and I found it quite grating. And number three, the ending, and horny ghost dad. I'll throw him in there as well. But it's just a shame that the last act of this film is easily the weakest, and the unintentional comedy of ghost dad doing his horny narration at the end of the film. Just this film deserved better, sadly, but it is what it is.
Number one for me, I wrote it down as the purple spandex problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a skin tight purple suit in the jungle. He's not Ghost who walks, is he? He's like the target who glows. You clearly
really
see him
is.
coming a long way away. Like how the rest of the jungle squad don't see him sneaking in through the window. Look at the purple dude walking in through the window. Like,
why isn't
come
it
on.
green? Why isn't it green?
I know it's iconic from the comics, but it doesn't work too well on screen.
Well, it's one of those, like, if you stop and think about it, it doesn't make any sense. The fact that nobody even mentions it suggests it's just, oh well, this is a pulp universe, we're just going to go with it. But it's, as I said, even if you remove the fact that it doesn't really make sense because purple just stands out literally everywhere, it's the fact that it's very hard to look cool in a purple spandex suit.
Yeah, the thin plot and convenient mysticism. I mean, the story is moving fast, but it feels like it's skipping over logic in favor of just because of skulls, just skulls. Our MacGuffin. Yeah, the ancient artifacts that shoot lasers, the pirate island with the throne room. You know, it's straight out to Bond's like villains to do board. It's absolutely insane. And we already said it, but the exposition arrives just in time to explain the next set piece, and conveniently the map with the skulls getting together with a giant map in the right room. And number three, the cultural tropes that really haven't aged well. Like
I was wondering that with the intro, if they kind of jumped through it quickly. Even in 1996, they were just like, guys, this is pretty racist. I mean, fair enough. It was written in the 30s as a 30s serial, but they were just like, all right, we're going to stay true to the source material, but we're going to get through this opening section as quickly as we can because it's little bit Tintin.
The white guy revered as the jungle god by the native tribes, as you just said. Then, like the film leaning on the colonial adventure tropes as well, like the 100%. The British Army have taken over the jungle. It's insane. So, I want to say hasn't aged well. It was 1996, so it's not a million miles away. It is nearly fucking 40 years now, or 30 years.
30 years.
30 years. So it's still 30 years ago, and it's 30 years too soon, as it were. But it's going back to the 30s. You have to have, like, it's colonial back in the 30s.
Exactly.
So,
that's what I mean. It's like, let's not be disingenuous to what the views were. And as I said, I think it actually deals with it pretty well because it's just like we don't want to change anything because that is what the comic is and that's what the views were in the 30s. But we're not going to linger on it. We're just going to be like, well, this is what happened previously on the Phantom, and we're just going to go, well, it is what it is, and you either go with it or you don't. And in the end, it just doesn't feel like a problem to me. And I know that's coming from Mr. fucking white guy from the West, but because it was just like, we're not going to really deal with this. It's just, this is the comic, so it's just you either take it or leave it. And it's like, okay, I take it, it's fine. But yeah, like I said, if you have any issues with it, take it up with the 30s. What the fuck, guys. Like you said, you mentioned skeletons, like the skeleton at the start who chokes the guy out. That's a perfect example of this movie not knowing what kind of tone it's going for. It's like a skeleton comes to life, chokes a guy out, nobody's fussed. Everyone just goes, is that kind of weird? And then you have the drum bit. I was like, was the drum, and was that what kind of alerted the Phantom to what was going on? They did the drums, and then the Phantom's like, oh, the drums, like, that's his bat single, like jungle drums? Maybe that's it. But the strange thing was, like, a clearly supernatural event has happened right in front of you, and everyone's just like, all right, so we should probably go. I'd be on the side, be like, dude, you didn't see that fucking skeleton choke that guy to death? That's insane. But yeah, everyone's cool with it. So how fantastical this movie world is, I still have no idea. No idea whatsoever.
No.
Any alternative titles for this film?
Yeah, they all kind of play on the Phantom thing, but we've got Argentina, the Phantom, comma the Ghost.
Yeah, it feels like it's overdoing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Estonia, Ghost.
Hmm.
Finland, Black Mask, the Wandering Ghost.
Fair enough.
France, the Ghost of Bengal.
Also, black. It's purple. It's purple
Yeah.
ghost. It's not black ghost.
Wait until you get to Turkey. But Hungary and the Phantom.
And the Phantom.
Yeah,
All right, sure, why not?
yeah. Mexico, the Ghost. Norway, the Phantom, the Spirit that Walks. Romania, Ghost. Taiwan, Shocking Soldiers.
Sure.
Yeah. And finally, Turkey, Red Mask.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely bang on. Absolutely bang
Yeah.
on. Why wouldn't you call it Red Mask? Any facts for this film?
Fucking loads randomly,
awesome.
but some of these are just insane. We've actually covered quite a lot. But the Palmer mansion that at the beginning from where Diane Palmer walks in to see her uncle and Xander Drax shows up and he says, "Why is he here?" That was Hugh Hefner's Playboy mansion.
Was
They
it
just
really?
filmed, yeah, they just filmed at the Playboy mansion.
That's what I mean. There might be a lot of bad facts. That is a strong start. That is a strong start.
So Billy Zane, a huge fan of the Phantom, as he was introduced to the comics while filming Dead Calm. So he called it his personal favorite film he's ever made.
I get it. Like you said, there's it's not perfect. Mention the fact to ad infinitum that the ending doesn't work. But I can totally see why you'd watch this film and go like, I'm proud of this film. It should have done better. As I said, I think it was a timing issue.
So, I mean, you want to go into the validity of these facts and how deep we've gone into looking into this. When not filming, Billy Zane had a habit of running out to buy sushi wearing his Phantom costume.
I mean, right, that's silly, but also I kind of love that. I know that now. Just the idea of him just cutting about Thailand, looking for a Japanese restaurant in full Phantom gear, and everyone just like, the fuck is going on with this motherfucker? Awesome. Love it.
Right, so I've covered those two already.
And you're right. You have to remember as well. This is 1996. Unless you're a tourist who just happens to have a camera, what happened back then, just to explain to younger listeners, is that if you were in Thailand and you just happened to see Billy Zane in full costume run down the street with sushi in his hands, you would just have to tell people and hope they believed you. Yeah. That was it. You didn't have your phone. It wasn't on social media. It was just a fucking story. And you had to spend half your time just, no, dude, really, it was Billy Zane and he was dressed in this whole purple thing and he was eating sushi in Thailand. You're like, you're full of shit, bro. You're full. It's the same reason that everyone had a story before they found out that he might well be a pedophile. That's one friend was always like, oh no, I know Michael Jackson. I met him once. Until that all went quiet around like 93 when they're just like, maybe I'm not going to stick with that story anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, facts.
That's right. So the Palmer's butler is named Falkmore. This name is derived from Lee Falk, the creator of the Phantom, and Ray Moore, the Phantom's first artist.
Nice. That's a cool little Easter egg.
You already said it. Bruce Campbell considered for the role of the Phantom alongside Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith.
No, not that Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
The New Zealander Kevin Smith.
Well done. Yeah, I didn't think you did because he didn't really do anything unless you were into the Hercules or Xena stuff.
Yeah.
Or Warriors of Virtue 2, Return to whatever it was.
Oh, dude, you've always got something up your sleeve. I'm just like, I know this actor. And you're just like, oh, I know him from Warriors of Virtue 2.
Warriors of Virtue 2, The Return to Tao.
I love the fact that it's often a sequel to a movie I didn't even know existed in the first place.
So, have you heard of Warriors of Virtue? Do you remember that was the one where he goes to a magic land and there's like full of ninja kangaroos?
Dude, you make these films sound awesome. I'm like, ninja kangaroos sounds
the second one, I'm gonna have to look up Warriors of Virtue. No, because the second one, they must have run out of budget, so they couldn't do the ninja kangaroos. So by the second one, the curse was lifted and they were just humans again.
Of course.
They had no money for making them ninja kangaroos.
Oh, I remember those creepy looking fucks because they were toys. I remember the toys. Yeah. I hated the look of those motherfuckers. Dude, it's exactly what you said. Ninja kangaroos. Yeah. It is. I was just like, how can I imagine those? Yes, I remember those.
What was up with the kangaroo vibe as well? Because what was Tank Girl? Tank Girl like kangaroos, didn't they? Ice-T was a kangaroo.
They're creepy. There's the uncanny. They kind of remind me. They upset me in the same way that the Moomins did for some reason. I never got on with the Moomins. Warriors of Virtue, man. I totally agree with that. It's like got good reviews. 1999. No, not really. I'm surprised.
No, not really.
Anyway, sorry.
That's right. The comic was set in Africa, where the film was set in Thailand. I think I've already covered that. You've already covered Joe Dante. The skull is a dominant symbol in the Phantom's life. I mean, no shit. He
Yeah,
lives
yeah,
in the
yeah.
skull cave. He wears the skull ring. The movie,
He's got a
he's trying to
skull
find three
belt.
skulls. If you look closely at his costume, you will even see a skull design on it. Like, yeah, I'm pretty
These
sure.
guys, yeah. They've really run out of interesting facts. There's loads of facts, but like you said, like there's like 3 belters, and then the rest are pretty shit. Sadly,
Metal replica Phantom rings were passed out at several movie theaters when the film was released.
see, I would like to have one of those. That'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
It'd be such a niche thing. It's like, dude, what's that skull ring? Oh, that from the Phantom, 1996, Billy Zane. Jesus Christ, sort your life out.
Right. I'm going to end it on this fact. Well, 2 facts. First of all, Sam Raimi was considered for directing the film.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Like, like not too long after Darkman, so he's done a comic book movie. It's before Spider-Man, but I think he would have actually been great for the material.
I'm going to give you this piece of knowledge just to push out something that should have stayed in your brain. Billy Zane, Treat Williams, and James Remar are all left-handed.
There we go. I've definitely forgotten something important. God bless you, sir. Hug to the Future. So this is where we ask the question: remake, sequel, let it die, or leave well alone. I know you're not a fan of legacy sequels, but if ever a movie was perfect for a legacy sequel where it actually makes sense, it's this, because you could do the whole. You'd start Billy Zane in it, but he's training his heir to become the new Phantom. It works perfectly.
It depends, yeah, because if you're having Billy Zane as training his heir, you're going to need to set it in at least the 50s or the 60s. It can't be the 30s anymore.
Oh, the 50s would be perfect. 50,
yeah, so you get the 50s or the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even do it as where he's like the granddad or something like that. A Phantom has already retired, so you've got the father's died. Billy Zane's still the granddad because he can do it now. And you can have it more towards the 80s or the 90s.
Or you could just have a completely new Phantom. It could be set in the late 50s, early 60s, whatever, but it's followed the usual lineage where Billy Zane has died and now he's playing Horny Ghost Dad.
Yeah.
And the movie really isn't about the Phantom. It's about Horny Ghost Dad trying to convince his son to finally lay some pipe so they can have an heir. It's like, dude, Dad, no. The fucking line will end in you have to have sex. That's just the start.
I need to sort out the Singh Brotherhood. Dad, no. There's a speed dating over here now. Let's go to speed dating. Let's sort your hair out first, then we'll do the Singh Brotherhood.
And he's like, Dad, I told you I like dudes. It's like, listen. Every one of us have liked dudes. We've all had to get over that. I had the same conversation with his dad. He had the same conversation with his dad. You've got to get over the dudes and you've got to have an heir. So you're eventually going to have sex with a woman. That's just how this works. So that's what I go for a sequel.
I'll be the one to ask this in 2025. What do they do if they give birth to a daughter? Can't be an heir.
Yeah, I don't know. And one's if he has like a kid and he's just not very athletic. It's just like, oh, dude, I'm just not really into this. I just prefer video games. Like, fuck, man, this just isn't going to work out. So I don't know. But anyway, that's what I go for Hug to the Future. Anyway,
I pretty much answered the same thing. I'm with you on that. You could do a legacy sequel or something. Yeah.
Make a change. That's where we ask question. If you need to make one change to make this better, I've made it clear abundant of times. I know I had an issue with Quill's casting, but the real answer is just sort out the ending. So, I mean, I know that's like a big one thing, sort out the final act of this film, but it really does drag down the movie as a whole. So, sort out the final act, because there is a great movie here. It's just diminished somewhat by some poor choices towards the end.
Get up for my Welsh sister. Give Catherine Zeta-Jones more to do. I mean, she's got a killer wardrobe. She's morally flexible, but you don't let her lean into the femme fatale stuff too much. Just give her own agenda. She's flying around Bengal like she owns the place. All of a sudden, then she's in New York and she's become the weird mob doll at the end of it. So I just think she needed more to do. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's worked out well for her because she's the only one who truly got out of this and ended up having a genuinely successful career. Yeah. Because Catherine Zeta-Jones is like what I refer to as and famous. It's like, she doesn't have massive, she's not, kind of launching a movie on her own anymore. But she's done, she went on to do Zorro, she did Chicago, she did Entrapment. And she is at that level of fame where if she's in a movie, even for like 10, 15 minutes, she's and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And you've got to be famous as fuck to be and, there's like, there's the cast members at the front, then there's they're pretty famous, but then you get and you're
And
like,
yeah,
oh no, yeah, you're not opening the movie, but you're a big fucking deal in this film, and that's what
yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones is.
It took us some negotiation to get you. You're getting your own
Exactly.
special
Yeah,
and
yeah. Put
credit.
this
Yeah,
way, in Wednesday, if you watch the opening credits for Wednesday,
yeah, yeah.
it is
It's
very
and
much
Catherine
and
Zeta-Jones. Yeah,
Catherine Zeta-Jones
yeah.
for sure. In terms of video games, surprisingly, there wasn't a video game directly linked to this film, and maybe it's just maybe there was one in production and it didn't
It
work
would have
out.
been prime round about 96 to have like a weird NES version, SNES
No,
maybe
no,
in 96.
96 would have been like an oddly like it probably would have been a terrible early
Oh,
3D
would that
attempt on
be
the PlayStation 1 and
PS1?
Sega Saturn.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so upset the PS ones came out in the 90s. It really upsets
Oh
me.
yeah, PS1 was
Yeah,
95, same as the Sega Saturn. So,
yeah.
but there were actually video games. There's actually a new game, bizarrely, which I had no idea was released. Was it early? I think it was earlier this year. It's like an arcade style beat 'em up, and it's on everything. It's on PC, PS5, Nintendo Switch. You can actually buy really expensive physical copies for it. But it's based on the comic book rather than the movie. And similarly, there was a video game by Viacom New Media, which was released on the Super NES in 1995, and it's in like it was also on like the Mega Drive and the Game Gear and all that nonsense. And it was a Metroidvania game based on the Phantom 2040 animated show, and that, from what I remember, was actually pretty good. But again, nothing to do with the movie. If you were going to do a movie of the Phantom, if you had an unlimited budget.
It is.
It is. You're right. It
Yeah.
is. I hate to say it, but the correct answer is you take the floor, sir.
It's a Naughty Dog kind of Uncharted game. I mean, you've got the jungle scene.
100%.
We've seen them ride horses. We've seen Nathan Drake ride horses. We've seen him fight. We've seen him climb. We've seen him fight fucking pirates. It is Uncharted. It's Naughty Dog all day
It's
long.
100%. If anything, it's actually a better fit than Nathan Drake, because the one issue you could argue with Nathan Drake and the Uncharted series, and you get this in loads of video games, is the cognitive dissonance of him supposed to be a nice guy and he's just a treasure hunter who just so happens to kill 3,000 bad guys.
Yeah.
If the Phantom kills 3,000 bad guys, you can kind of get on board with it, especially with this pulpy feel. So if anything, I would argue that the Phantom might be the perfect match for Naughty Dog and the Uncharted template.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is literally, believe me, I tried to think of a better example. I fucking tried. There isn't one. It's Naughty Dog and it's
Literally.
Uncharted.
Because I've come up with a few lately and things like that. I just wrote, as soon as I was thinking of video games, I just wrote Naughty Dog, done. Like,
Oh yeah. No. It was Naughty Dog, sad face, done. I was like, yeah, Rob's won this way. You see Naughty Dog a lot, but this is unquestionably Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, I was just like, it'll never get made, but like a video game by Naughty Dog based on the Phantom in a similar style would be. I mean, if you ask me, what would I prefer, Uncharted 5 or the same budget, but we're going to make a Phantom movie with Billy Zane reprising the role? I picked the Phantom. I would 100% pick the Phantom. I've seen enough Nathan Drake. I want to see more Billy Zane as the Phantom.
I do want a Naughty Dog 5, but if
Naughty Dog 5.
a Naughty Dog 5, Uncharted 5,
Yeah.
Dan Davis will kill me on this. But you're right. If I had the chance to see Phantom Naughty Dog style, I'd probably pick the Phantom
With, like,
at this point.
the two handguns with the fucking horse and his wolf.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough wolves in video games. Oh god, what was that? It wasn't Shinobi. There was a ninja game.
Ninja Gaiden?
No, he didn't have a wolf in that. It was a different ninja game, and he had a wolf, and I'm sure it came out in the Mega Drive and stuff. I think it was called Shadow something.
Okay.
Anyway, I remember it being really good, but I just can't remember the fucking name off the top of my head.
Horny Dad doing the Sully role.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. Instead, and that's the thing. You wouldn't even have to explain. He just pops up whenever you want, just talking horny shit. And that's the thing. Naughty Dog, they're so good at writing these things. They could turn it into something that makes sense, and he could still remain horny. It'd be fantastic. Best and worst of IMDb. So this is where we pick a random 10-star and 1-star review to look back on what people thought of this. Obviously, at the extreme ends of the spectrum. How many reviews are there for this film? Oh, written reviews specifically on IMDb. Over 100?
Yes.
272.
There's more than I was thinking. Not that many, but there was more because I was thinking there can't be many for this, but it's 194.
Oh, yeah, that is a lot. It was only when you pulled a face, I was like, I've gone well below. But 195, that's still obviously a lot more than I was expecting. But 195, this is a really interesting one because of its cult status, I suspect a lot of people go back and they feel quite strongly about this. I mean, giving it 10 stars is insane, but I'm going to say 37 10-star reviews.
Oh, dude, you always seem to be 9 off 28.
Oh, okay. I don't feel too bad about that.
Yeah,
That's not too bad.
yeah. Right. So this one was actually quite recently, April 2020,
Hmm.
titled "Simply Perfect." Yeah.
Okay.
One of the greatest superhero movies of all time, period. As a diehard Phantom fan, I was very pleased with the end result and a brilliant performance by Billy Zane as the Phantom slash Kit Walker. It's because of Billy's dedication and preparation for the role, his love for the character is evident in his portrayal. Is one of the reasons this film works so well, along with other excellent performances given by Treat Williams, Christy Swanson, and Catherine Zeta-Jones in one of her earliest film roles, just to name a few. One of the biggest issues I have regarding this film and my constant defense of it is with people who don't understand or judge it because they think that they know better. It's just pompous and idiotic, and one of the reasons it was panned by critics upon its release in 1996. Critics
Pot
said
kettle
it ripped
black,
off.
sure.
Critics said it ripped off Indiana Jones and was considered too similar. The Phantom was created in 1936 by Lee Falk and published by King Features Syndicate. My point is, Lee loved that final film and was very happy with it and the people who made it. Lee even went on to say that Billy Zane's performance is what he envisioned for the character before his death in 1999. How can you argue with that? The film was loved and appreciated by its creator. That to me is all that matters. Screw the critics, they don't know. I absolutely love this film. I can't praise it enough. Just amazing, 10 out of 10. So he said, uh, what did he say? How can you argue with that? The film was loved and appreciated by its creator. Yes, so was Maximum Overdrive by Stephen King, and I can
Yeah, yeah,
argue that
yeah.
that film wasn't good.
Yeah. I think this is more defensible than Maximum Overdrive, in fairness. I can
Yeah,
understand why the creator, especially like you say, the Billy Zane performance, which is absolutely spot on. Proper
yeah,
movie star stuff. Like you said, I agree with a lot of what he said. This is a really good, really fun film, but it's not without its faults. It's not a 10 out
yeah.
of 10, but it's certainly not a 1 out of 10.
No.
I can't imagine there's too many 1 out of 10. 7?
Oh, dude, 5.
Oh, close
You're getting
again.
close. Yeah.
Getting close.
Right. So, I mean, this will tell you when it was written. I work in a video store.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
1999.
2003. I mean,
Okay,
we're on
fair
the
enough.
end, but yeah. But not a DVD store, a video store. So,
Mhm.
right. So, titled Worst Comic Based Movie Ever. I work in a video store. I won't mention which one. And I had customers recommending this movie to me. I regret that I paid them any attention. I thought the all-star cast, Billy Zane, Christy Swanson, Treat Williams, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, along with the interesting story of the Phantom comic books, would make for a great film. I was very wrong. Each star gives his or her worst possible performance ever, and the story was simply dull. I kept waiting for any moment of truth, any spark of ingenuity. But by the time the movie was finished, I had found nothing worthy of my attention. And someone please tell me why Billy Zane had a ridiculous smirk on his face throughout the entire film of the show, throughout the entire length of the show. I thought maybe he was on an inside joke and just didn't feel like sharing the humor. Even if you're a diehard comic book fan or a Phantom fan, do not rent or purchase this film. It will most certainly be a waste of your time. I mean, dude, you totally misunderstood this film.
He did, but that's the thing, though. I actually thought maybe more people, especially if you hadn't seen this film since the 90s, or if you'd never seen this movie at all, that would be the kind of view a lot of people would have expected. I feel like the narrative of this film is that it was a bad movie, it was a massive flop, and it was a flop. It wasn't the biggest flop
Yeah,
of all time. I
no,
think it cost like 45 million. It made like 25 million at the box office, but it was a massive hit on VHS. So this film was almost certainly in the black. I don't think it's still considered a flop. I'm sure it made its money back eventually, but I think a lot of people at a glance who don't know much about it would be like, that film was a flop and it was rubbish. Whereas, like you said, you go back, the review, a lot of people, just as many people liked this film as disliked it. This was a classic mixed reviews where some people just didn't get on with it, but some people quite liked it. Like you said, it's not a 1 star, it's not a 10 star. So this is always quite an interesting exercise of people who go to one extreme or the other. I'm much closer to 10 stars than I am to 1 star. I can tell you that much right now. Although, speaking of our own ratings and recommendations, mine is somewhere in the middle, but it is a 3. It's not one of those ones where we're like, oh, maybe it's a 2.5. It really is a 3. For a long time, this skirts around a 4. Like I said, up until the final act, this for an hour and 10, I'm like, fucking hell. this is a 4-star film. This is a good movie, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. It shits the bed at the end. It doesn't ruin the movie. It just brings the score down a mark. So it's a 3 stars, but it's still a recommendation for me. And especially oddly for people who, like myself, who watched this back in the day and maybe can't remember too much of it, or maybe don't have the fondest memories. This is a classic. Like, this really is worth revisiting because it's aged wonderfully. So it's a 3 and a yes from me.
I can't argue with you. I was pretty much the same. It was a four, it was a four, it was a four, and then yeah, it kind of fell by the wayside and became a 3.
Mhm.
Totally agree, and I totally agree with the recommendation as well. For me, definitely what you said. For people that have seen it but but maybe disliked it back then and they've never seen it again, give it another go. I mean,
Same as The Rocketeer is exactly.
yeah,
I think we had the exact same conversation with The Rocketeer. It's one of those films which is kind of, we talked about it being a cult film, but I feel like the whole Phantom thing is kind of drifted away. No one's really talking about it. The same with The Rocketeer, the same with The Shadow, all these other films. And you suddenly you rewatch them and you're just like, these are just aged wonderfully because there aren't many movies like them anymore. And because they're not overly reliant upon CG and a lot of it's on location and it's like matte paintings which still look great, they've just aged really well.
yeah.
They've been made by good directors with a genuine eye. So it's not like you go back and you have these kind of aesthetic hurdles to get over. As soon as this movie starts, you're like, "Oh, this is a good looking fucking film." So
I think I'm the exception to the rule because naturally people would be like you. Their tastes have changed. The way they view things have changed. If I didn't like it back then, I'm going to be a grumpy prick and probably say, "Oh no, 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 I'm not going to give it a chance." So,
yeah.
but for most people, for normal people, as it were,
Mhm.
things have thing time has changed them. So they could go like you did. You've gone back and watched this, and like I'd be stuck in my ways and probably say, "No, I'm not going to like it. Not going to give it a chance." There are films that have proved me wrong, and I will
Mhm.
admit to that. But like I said, exceptions to the rule. But in regards to this, I recommend it, especially like you said, for people that have watched this and
Mhm.
disliked it in the past, but can't really remember much about it. But again, like we say
Well,
before, if somebody randomly off the street comes up to me and says, "Should I watch the Phantom?" Fuck yes, you should watch the
why
Phantom.
not? And just be clear, it's on Paramount Plus at the moment if you are interested.
Yeah,
But I mentioned it earlier. I think one of the major issues with this movie was timing because it came out and people were expecting Batman, and instead what they got was Indiana Jones, but it wasn't quite as good as Indiana Jones. And now in 2025, what this film feels is oddly refreshing. It feels like a total throwback in in an era of slightly samey superhero films. This feels unique watching it in 2025 in a wonderful way. So despite its faults, it's a super charming, well-directed, wonderfully acted movie that its foibles are almost part of its charm. So, and
yeah.
it's like part of its issue is that it doesn't give certain characters and narrative strands enough time. But the other side of that coin is it's an hour and 38 minutes. And if you're not overanalyzing it, it fucking flies by. It flies
Yeah,
by.
yeah, agreed. Yeah,
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 yeah. So that's been the first part of our dodgy 90s superhero series, which is already a failure because it turns out the first pick wasn't particularly dodgy. It was a surprisingly good movie. I've
yeah.
got a funny feeling the second choice might fall into the same category. I'm not gonna lie, we've mentioned it a few times this episode. 1994, Russell Mulcahy, which again, straight away, you look at his back catalogue,
Yeah.
it's The
He gave us
Highlander,
Highlander, didn't he? Yeah, yeah.
did Ricochet back in the day. He's also directed some of the
Ricochet.
Resident Evil sequels, so it's not all plain
Yeah,
sailing. But stars Alec Baldwin, and yes, it's The Shadow.
it's
Um,
yeah, it's true.
I again, I can't remember shit about The Shadow. I just don't remember. All I remember is that I've seen it in like 90. Well, this came out. I think. Sorry, I said it was 94, wasn't it? So I would have seen this in the mid 90s. I've not seen it since. And I've got a funny feeling, like I'm really positive on all these films all of a sudden. I'm just like, I've got a funny feeling this is going to age really well and it's going to be really fun. We'll find out next week
I
because
don't
obviously
think
I'm
it's going to
watching.
be a 3. I honestly don't like. It's been a while since I've seen this one.
Dude, the
Uh,
IMDb is considerably higher on The
yeah, it's
Shadow. It's
6.1 for it. Yeah,
6.1.
did they like it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Versus the
but
Phantom.
I mean, I do remember, like I said, the 1920s, 30s pulp shit. I'm a big fan
The
of.
thing
So
is, though, as well, I mean, we're talking about big movie star performers. This is we mentioned like the actors who, kind of their careers were somewhat damaged. It's like Alec Baldwin got closer to being that guy because he was like Jack Reacher. But even then, he was Jack Reacher, but they still put Sean Connery on the poster. It's like, oh, are we going to sell this movie with just Alec
yeah,
Baldwin? And I think it comes back to The Shadow again. It's just like, oh, Alec Baldwin's going to be the guy, and they put him in The Shadow with fucking bombs, and we're just like, oh, maybe he's not going to be the guy. But obviously, he's had a fantastic career, but I don't think The Shadow did his career any favors in the mid 90s. But it'll be interesting to see. As I said, the Phantom was a genuinely pleasant surprise going back to it. So fingers crossed for The Shadow next week. I don't think it's on Paramount. I think I might have to rent that one. But
I'm glad to see this actor back, because I mean, he was in The Golden Child, and then he didn't do anything until The Shadow, and then he didn't do anything until Uncharted 2. But it's really good to see the Golden Child knife back.
The Golden Child knife.
It's the same exact knife. I want the knife.
I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, it is a similar knife.
It's the same knife, same face.
All I can really remember is the knife, and I can remember his hat. He had a hat and like a face. I don't know. I really can't remember. I remember less about The Shadow than I do about the Phantom.
Yeah, so. I could be. No, I'm not going to shtick. It definitely was. Yeah, Uncharted 2. I gotta be shit talk, because I love those games.
Yeah, you should. You played those games.
If I say anything wrong, like I said, I've already called him out. Dan Davis will fucking message me and go, "You've said shit, mate. You got it wrong," and I don't want to be questioned.
It's like me fucking up something about like the Halo series or fucking Zelda or something. But anyway, so that's been the 1996 The Phantom, the first part of our apparently not so dodgy 90s superhero series. Please do join us next week for 1994's The Shadow, which all of a sudden we have very high hopes for. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap this up?
I will not. I will just like to have that discussion of who hams it up more, Tim Curry or Treat Williams. That's going to be interesting.
That is good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want like recency bias, but fuck me, Treat Williams goes for it in that film. It'll take something special, but if anyone can do it, it's
be Curry. Tim Curry. Yeah.
All right.
But no, I'm good, mate.
Cool. I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you've been listening to the Hey Guys podcast. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Hey, you guys!